Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning, live from Saratoga. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. We're kicking off week number 6 here at Saratoga. A little bit overcast, but other than that, a nice day. Races 1, 4, and 9 off the turf today. Mark that on your PPs. Coming up on today's show a little bit later on, we will be joined by Joe Clancy, regular Wednesday visit from the Saratoga Special crew. Joe's going to be in just a few. And then a little bit later on, Rick Schosberg, retired from the training side of things a while ago. But he is, I read, he had an article, he was profiled in a little article a few weeks ago, and he got a quote, "I'm retired, but I haven't disappeared." He certainly has, and I see him more now maybe than I did when he was training. Ran into him the other night, and we scheduled him to be on this week because Thoroughbred Aftercare Day is tomorrow here at the track. So keep that in mind as well. We'll talk about that with Rick, but he is intimately involved with the Take the Lead and the Take Two programs via the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, retirement and second careers for Thoroughbred. So we'll hit on that a little bit later on, but top of the show, happy to be joined by our friends Tom Amello and Michael Kipness, the Wizard. They have a new podcast out. We'll talk about that and more. Good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Thank you very much for having us. Very much appreciate it.
Happy to have you guys. Absolutely. And before we get into the podcast and whatnot, let me just ask each of you. Michael, I'll start with you. How's the Saratoga meet going?
It's been a struggle because of the weather.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing picks in advance, you don't know what type of track to do it for. A lot of these races have been off the grass. It's one of a very rare, a strange meeting for all the meets I've been in my lifetime.
I think strange may be the adjective of the meet so far. There, and then the other day you're thinking, what else could? Oh, power outage, middle of the day. My prediction for the next day, meteor was going to hit the lake in the middle. That didn't happen, thank God. But, knock wood, we still have 3 weeks left. But Tom, how about you?
Yeah, well, you opened the show by saying week 6. I opened my eyes and it's week 6. You know, we live with anticipation and then it kind of flies by. So far, it's been an interesting meet for me. We're doing the show, which is something that we're really fascinated by and enjoying doing. It's really not a podcast. We're doing a YouTube show on the Wizards Thoroughbred Racing channel, and there are 2 things that I want to say. Seth. One, I really want to thank John Signer and Capital for putting us on the air on the dark days. We appreciate that. And we appreciate it more for the folks that we've managed to have on the show, because when Michael and I talked about doing this, what we wanted to do was to create a show that, in the context of all the negativity that exists about this game, be it controversial decisions, CAWs, you go in the gate at 12, you're feeling good. By the time the quarter pole is 9-2 and you're losing money, and all those things. We wanted to bring not only some information about Saratoga, which everybody's interested in, but we wanted to give people, the unsung folks who are rarely heard from, an opportunity to tell their story. And Michael's done a wonderful job of interviewing them and letting them do it.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna make that comment. People call things podcasts now, and a lot of them have that YouTube component as well. And that's right. You guys are there as video, so you can go to YouTube, or again, we rerun on the network here as well. Michael, talk a little bit about the guest lineup. I was, going through last night, and so far it's been impressive early on.
Yeah, it's something I kind of did on a lark. I didn't really expect it to take off as it has. One of the things that has helped the show is that I've worked with Tom for many years, and there's a great synergy between the two of us. It's just a lot of fun to work with him.
Do you remember the time you're sitting here together and you were pumping 20,000, a bankroll of 20,000 for capital?
And walking with a mic, giving Mike Smith instructions on how to ride the test stakes, a wireless mic out there. I mean, we had a load of fun on this show in the past, and it just brings back those memories. The interviews, when we decided to do them, I wanted to choose a slice of different aspects of the industry, different types of people, people that you wouldn't think would be asked to come on for an interview. And I wanted to humanize them. I wanted to know about their life, not just about the questions that are normally asked, just about them as people, and kind of work their way or our way into the interview. And, I've had such an interesting, eclectic mix of personalities. And, my first one was PJ Campo. And we connected, I would say, right away, because we kind of grew up in the game at the same time. And his career, I've learned so much about these guests that I didn't even know, even though I knew them, from afar, and, to know the kind of history of him working, as a racing secretary, transitioning to an agent, Castellanos and Ken Sell's agent, and about his father, and about Vic Gilardi, a guy that we both, I love Vic. Yeah. Okay, you knew Vic, and he's just one of the wonderful human beings, and his relationship with Vic. Then we had Kerry Breon, just a young trainer, wins the Eclipse Award in her first year, jump, horses, but still and what amazed me, she was very tight at the beginning of the interview. She didn't really know what to make of me interviewing, but then I kind of got her relaxed, and then she opened up, and that was a great interview. Another interview. Junior Alvarado. Now, we traced his childhood back in his country, Venezuela. Talked about Cañonero II, Gustavo Avila. We talked about, his coming to the United States, going to Chicago, dominating Chicago, coming to New York,
leaving his family in Chicago.
And it was before the Whitney, and we talked about the Whitney, and obviously Cody's wish broke slow. It was the pace wasn't conducive. Something was amiss that day, but just a wonderful interview with a great rider. And then
we had the barn manager, and then the other day you talked to Patty Miller.
Well, the stable manager of a farm that my friend owns, Katie Rich Farms. We learned about what a farm manager does. How he matches up the sires. He has broodmares. Yeah. That's a broodmare farm. What he does to match up the broodmare to the sire to try to get the right horse to auction off for profit. And then also the foaling process. When the baby is when the dam gets pregnant, the whole process to birth, and after that. And then probably our favorite interview that will air soon, Harry the Valet. Now, let me tell you. I mean, so here's a guy that I've seen on TV since 1985. I know him by face. I can see him in my dreams. Never talked to him. I don't know anything about him, but he's like the guy I know most and see. And his story, Tom, was just absolutely off the charts.
Harry is just a wonderful human being. We learned about his family, put 2 kids through Penn State. He talked about the difference between a valet and a valet. If you park cars, you're a valet. You're handling the horses. That's a hard T. I knew he'd been injured. He got kicked at one time, which really knocked him down. And he had all sorts of wonderful tales, not tales out of school, but good stories to share about the many people who've touched his life. And, it just one of it. It's funny. Nikki, good God, Nikki, can you imagine that? Where's the brain going?
It's a throwback. You get on the set, all of a sudden it's a throwback.
Wiz says to him, you're one of the unsung heroes. And Harry says, no, I'm not. My wife's the unsung hero.
And
you got to watch this interview.
And you could see the tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
He's retiring probably next year. And I felt like I was giving this man who's put his life and blood in this game his moment to shine. Yeah. And that touched us more than anything. And he would talk about like the stuff in the locker room, this is the only sport where they're working together in the locker room, right? They're
the competitors sit next to each other before they go out to fight.
And and he would be like they'd be back in the day. Kruger was the big instigator. He would like referee fights in a 5-rounder, in the locker room. And like, it was just so awesome. And then Patty Miller, a bloodstock agent, a very successful bloodstock agent, talked about, what the process she does with Jeff Cedar. They work for EQB Equine to purchase a horse, like the research, going back to Harry the Valet, the one thing that I learned, because I learned something from everybody, is that I was always bitching or complaining. Why is there so much time between races? 28 minutes.
Harry explained.
And he explained the process of getting the
saddle out, getting the saddle back,
preparing. And bringing
everything they do. We think they're sitting around having a Coke.
They're
working.
Like they don't just come out. You can't do a race in 12 minutes, and you learn. You say, wow, I've learned now why there has to be. It's not for us. Yeah, we have low attention spans. We want the races going, every 10 minutes. It cannot be done. And he explained that.
And so that one's coming up, though. But let people know when you drop a new one.
The other thing is, it's what you know and what everybody here knows about the interactions you've had over the years with everybody in the racetrack. I'd like Peter to sit down with Harry. I'd like Peter to sit down with Kerry Breon, because their passion for the game, their love for the horses, and their overall humanity is what people who don't understand this game don't see.
And the best one is going to be saved for the last. It's a two-parter. We're at Richard Migliore.
You can't believe
an hour and 50 minutes of the best stories. Now that's a guy that we connected. We connected early, right, in the interview, and then I just gave him the stage. The MiG. What could I say? I mean, I grew up. We were in the game together. He was my guy. And if he was on a speed horse that I liked, go to the window. That guy was just unbelievable. And he's made a career now at Fox doing the commentary. Yeah. The MiG, there's no one like him. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, behind the press box, they can vouch.
And now I have
stories.
And now we have a surprise for you. It's based on the MiG. Folks should understand that Cardona's Market and Naira and the MiG have combined to come up with the MiG sandwich. And there it is, Cardona's Market, the MiG sandwich. It's to benefit the jockey fund. And so I'm going to sit here and say, everybody in this town, in Albany, in Saratoga, you go to Cardona's Market
you get
a MiG. And we are going to break.
When do you ever get?
We're breaking bread.
Now this is a sandwich.
We're breaking bread.
Now you got to take
right here.
Right.
Okay, so here we go, folks.
Opening the MiG.
All right. Now listen. I am a Guy Fieri fan, so we all got to get the hunch.
Come on. Have you ever been delivered a MiG sandwich on air?
So this is the MiG. Look at this. This is the MiG. Are you ready? Yeah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
It's good.
Let's just keep it here and eat it. The next guest, this is better than a Thanksgiving dinner.
It is very good.
Clancy's getting none of this.
And you get a pickle too.
This is just the Wizard sandwich would have all losing tickets in between with a little with a lot of mayonnaise, which I hate. That would be the Wizard sandwich.
Well, all right. Thank you. Now I have lunch. For
and seriously though, the community, the Cardona family, Migliore, doing something for the permanently disabled jockey fund. Buy yourself a MIG sandwich at Cardona's Market. Thank you very much.
And the show, watch the show with the YouTube channel. Get Tied On.
Get Tied On. Remind people once again where and when they can find it. You know, if you go to the channel now, you can get the replays of some of the ones you guys have already talked about. But you've also previewed some shows. So when do they drop? And again, remind where
the thing is, I don't have this set up, Seth. Mine is a camera, right? That I never even shot a camera in my life before I did this show. So I have to ship it to Las Vegas.
That's where the graphics
come in. Where my friend the Duck puts it all together, right? And I just have to hope it finally gets 3,000 miles. He stays up at night to do it. So it's usually Wednesday or Thursday that we post it.
Thank you so much, Zach. We really appreciate it. Thank you, John Signer. Thank you, racing fans.
Appreciate you guys stopping by. And Tom, I'll tell you, appreciate your stopping by as well, so folks can see, because people constantly ask me, hey, what's Nick up to? What is Tom up to?
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you all for watching when you did.
Yeah, a lot of people appreciate seeing you back here. And Michael, good work on that.
Thank you.
It's not a podcast; it's a video series. So I will call it that from now on the YouTube channel. But again, appreciate you guys stopping by.
Our pleasure.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Joe Clancy is in the house. We'll talk a little racing from the past week and beyond. Stay tuned.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
That was the first. I don't think I've ever been delivered food on the set before. Tom Amello and Michael Kipness there. All right, we're back on Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning, and Wednesday means a visit from the guys at the Saratoga Special. This morning, our friend Joe Clancy. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Yeah, the sandwiches. That was something crazy, else, right?
Yeah. To make. Yeah. I got to make this morning. And as I said, now I have lunch for today, so perfect. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, no steeplechase race today. They canceled last week, with the whole situation with the turf course. But what's the schedule now looking like steeplechase-wise?
The schedule for the next 2 Wednesdays, and that race that got canceled was supposed to come back this week, and they shifted the Grade 1 to next week to make room for it. And then it lost a couple horses basically in the entries and wasn't going to fill anyway. But then with a couple of races off the grass and the rain last night, it might have gotten canceled again, even if they had a field.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just sort of a calamity of situations, and they're trying to do the best they can. I was talking to Bill Gallo earlier before I came over here, and they've got what looks like a pretty full field for the Jonathan Shepherd. They kind of, it's not necessarily last year Snap Decision came up, and it was a pretty salty group. This is a much more evenly matched. You see some of the horses who won at the meet earlier, and they're stepping up the Grade 1 company, but that's okay. It's not really that tough. Noah in the Arc is in there. He's the only real Grade 1 proven type horse in the field. The rest are novices or some extra, horses on their way up the ladder. But that actually might make for a pretty competitive race.
Yeah.
So
no, it'd be fun.
We need the rain to kind of, trying to get on that turf the Wednesday before the Travers, and hopefully no rain impacts that.
Well, and when we had the guys earlier, I was saying, how's your meet been? And one or the other said, yeah, strange. And I said, that could be the adjective of the meet.
Yeah.
And part of that was, and I mentioned that power outage the other day, and I noticed from the special the other day in the here and there section, the number 2 parentheses at least crucial pieces of thoroughbred race that need electricity: the photo finish camera and the video camera, which should be enough to satisfy your curiosity about why a power outage forced cancellation of Wednesday's 5th race. It is always funny when people are like, "What's going on?
Why couldn't they run? Yeah, what's going on? Did they do it on purpose?" You're like, "No." Like, and I part of me, the traditionalist, is like, "Yeah, they could run without electricity. We won't hear the announcer or whatever else." But then you're like, no photo finish, which means three people have to decide who won the race without video or photo finish, and then obviously trying to review foul claims or watch a race critically without video obviously becomes a little dicey. And then I think there's, at the absolute root, I think whatever the New York Gaming Commission rules are, I think there has to be pari-mutuel wagering on races like this, right? I don't know. So,
but you talk about the photo finish camera. I was talking to somebody the other day of that race a few years ago where it was raining so hard they couldn't decide, so they declared it a dead heat.
Right. So there are a lot of variables. There's a lot of moving parts. Animals being probably the biggest.
Yeah. No, but that was funny, and I said to those guys, my prediction for the next day was, what else could happen? Meteor in the lake in the infield. Thankfully, that hasn't happened yet. But I'm not going to
keep that out of here.
There are 3 weeks left. All right, let's get some of your thoughts because it was an interesting week certainly. And going back to Friday, the rescheduled National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. I like Carl Spackler. I thought the Maiden Breaker down at Gulfstream kind of touted him as a 3-year-old to watch on the turf side of things, then disappointed a little bit in the American turf at Churchill. But last week, Carl Spackler, 4th career start, Tyler Gaffleone on board. Tried to get Tyler on this morning, and we had him scheduled on Sunday, and then he headed out of town because he's off for a few days with a little suspension, but we'll get him on. He had a nice week last week, and he was on board Carl Spackler for Chad Brown. I thought this was a good performance in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, really good performance. And sometimes you forget with these 3-year-old horses, they're improving all the time. Younger horses who haven't run that much, and he really did. We had fun with his name in the office and the Caddyshack references and whatnot. And
so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he's got that going for him. And when you think about it, he was in the paddock and it started raining and the heavy stuff didn't really come down for a little while. So here he came back and let it happen. So ran really well.
He did run very, very well. And again, I think that's a subdivision I like quite a bit. And early on, that Maiden Breaker, to me, touted him as a player. This kind of emphasized it. And again, it was only the 4th career start there. Also, I did want to touch on just, again, some of the stakes performances that otherwise may float under the radar a little bit. But the same day earlier on the card, the Union Avenue Granny's Connection for Tom Morley, a horse with 4 wins going into the race last Friday, 4 wins in a couple of seconds in 6 starts. And then last Friday validates all of that as the chalky favorite, winning pretty nicely again. So I think Granny's Connection, nice little 4-year-old filly with only 7 career starts now for Tom Morley and company.
Yeah, that was some performance, really. I mean, that's a performance that could translate to bigger and tougher company for sure. And I covered that and watched. Tom was very stressed watching that race, so it was fun to talk to him about why and how much he cares about her. And trainers always worry, and he said he worries about her because he knows she's that good, but obviously it's a little fragile and a little delicate with horses, and trying to get her to perform as well as she could, and then she did, and she delivered, which is obviously you could tell how satisfied he was and how pleased and how happy for her he was.
Yeah, a race up here at Saratoga, the 5th career victory, nice little stakes win. That's always a Saratoga stakes win. All adds to the
but she would look out of place in a graded race next time, somewhere.
Also wanted some thoughts going to Saturday. I had Norm Cassie on Saturday morning. Norm said, in the Saratoga Special, he had rhyme schemes coming off a 94 Beyer win at Ellis. And when I had him on, he was like, I'm not sure I buy that number. I don't know. We'll see maybe this afternoon. We validated. Mission accomplished in the Saratoga Special. Yeah. Rhyme schemes here is going to be the number 6 horse. Wins out by almost 10 lengths. Norm has a nice little 2-year-old.
Yeah, he's won 2 races, both by 9.5 lengths. That's his margin, apparently. That was really impressive. And you watch Ricardo Santana look under his arm there, and then he looks up at the screen a couple times, and really impressive. And afterward, Norm said, he won that race at Ellis. Yeah, they said the same thing to me. I'm not sure that speed figure was, I needed more proof, and he kind of got it here. Their goal is the hopeful, and they thought the Saratoga Special, which is not named after the paper, was sort of the bridge to the hopeful. And it was interesting to hear him say that, where a lot of other people might say, out of the maiden breaker, we'll wait and go to the hopeful. They wanted to come here running that to set him up for the hopeful. So it'll be interesting to see him come back. And he was really, I thought that was really impressive. He did it. You see fast, rapid kind of 2-year-olds. He ran like an older horse. He's kind of galloping along there, ready to go. And then, he shook the reins at him twice. He took off, accelerated like a grass horse almost, so. I
just looked at the Beyer was an 86, which again was maybe a little legitimate, but 86 this time of year for 2-year-olds still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be fun to see him maybe a little bit later in the meet as well. And I had Lee Einseidler on Sunday. We had him on earlier in the meet after the Kelso. Don't always double up with guests like that, but I went into the winner's circle after the 4-star Dave. I said, we got to talk to you tomorrow. And he came on. He was great on Sunday morning, as always. But Casa Creed, 7 years old, getting it done again. 2 races this season up at Saratoga, but doubles up, repeats in the 4-star Dave. And Annapolis, if you were in the Annapolis camp, he got the jump today, last Saturday. As you can see there, Annapolis, the number 4 horse, gets the jump on the Pink Silks, the Lee Einseidler colors, with Casa Creed coming. And you had to think at the 8th ball, it's going to be tough. But, man, pins his ears back, and Casa Creed was phenomenal.
Man, yeah, fun race to watch. You saw 2 horses run their A race. They both ran really well. They both ran winning races. And Casa Creed, to see him, like you just said, dig in. And he almost, it kind of took him a while. For a minute there, it looked like he was kind of running in place or on a bit of a treadmill. And then he really got the motor going and ran him down like that. And that's kind of why you go to the races, isn't it? Yeah. And I think it's fascinating to see a 7-year-old horse doing that. And again, fair play to Annapolis. Hopefully we get to see him when he's 7, because that was a great effort too. And it's just a treat to see horses come. And we got to see him twice here. We obviously got to see him at Saratoga a lot over the years.
And Lee mentioned that he's kind of become a little bit of a Saratoga favorite.
Yeah.
But Lee also said, people ask me, does he have a stud career? He's got some grade 1s on the resume now. He said, it'd be kind of fun to see him try it again at 8, wouldn't it? So
why not? I think it'd be great. And again, Bill Mott takes really good care of horses like that and gives them a chance to become what we saw with Channel Maker earlier, and he gives them a chance to become what they are over that time, which is fascinating, really fun. It's just so much fun to watch, and to see him deliver that, and you could almost see him thinking, I got to try this much harder, and he did. It was really cool.
Back.
Yeah,
that was one of the highlights of the meet, certainly. And Lee also said, they put Annapolis on the cover of the Racing Form. Right then I said, we're in a good spot here.
Well, sometimes you try to mix it up. We run into that risk a lot too. You're like, we don't put him on the cover for the preview. We might put him on the cover if he wins, and
that's interesting. I never thought about that. What is the debate on the cover photo? Because I would imagine of all the things you do in the issue, that would be one of the top kind of.
Yeah, and it's hard. And a lot of times you try to look ahead, because I think somebody picking up a paper wants to look ahead as opposed to look back. But we play it.
There is gossip.
There he is. You're looking at the best. You're looking for the best photo. That one is from the inside, so you don't have Annapolis. So I made sure I got one from the outside, inside the paper that has him in it. And it's always sort of a debate, to try to figure out what to do. And I think the preview issue, the Saturday issue, that day's issue, we didn't use Costa Creed, mostly because we'd used them earlier, and you're hedging against a little bit. Well, we might have to use them again, and you don't want to overplay anybody. You try to spread it around a little bit.
Remind people again, sales just ended. That was your big week. Sales ended last week. That was your big, consecutive week. But the schedule at this point now for the special?
Basically, it's Wednesday, Saturday through the rest of the meet. So we've got only 5 left, which sounds like wow. Yeah, but there'll be 5 big ones with the Alabama, Travers, and then the closing weekend. There's plenty to cover and plenty to do. And yeah, the schedule gets a little more orderly for us. That seems like that's 6 in a row. You're just scrambling from one to the next, and you kind of lose track of any. The last night felt like, oh, we got it all planned out. We got it. It was still late, but it felt a little more orderly than the last 6 did for sure.
And again, we had Sean in here last week and talked a little bit about the sale as well. But fireworks over there in the main sale, and then this week, Sunday and Monday, they had the New York bread sale, and that's become popular as well. But boy, there was some fireworks with the 10. 7-figure horses.
Yeah, it's just really impressive, and I deal with Phasing Tipton on a lot of stories all year at Timonium when they sell there, and you just see how much they put into it, and to get to put the horses they put into that select sale, and obviously they got paid for. They're really good horses. They do a lot of inspections and all that stuff ahead of time to get those horses there, and it's fun from our side talking to buyers about well, a lot of them will say, a lot of my homework's already been done, because they've already selected a group that belongs here, and then the New York sale was really strong too. I mean, they sold more horses. They had to put up temporary stalls and tents and things like that, and
just Eulery in here from Facing that Sunday said that they put up extra,
which to me just shows how popular the New York program is. It's not going to compete with the $4 million horses, but it's really strong in the depth, and to watch trainers there shopping for horses that we'll see run here. Next year and the year after.
Tis the law.
Yeah.
Tis the law on New York Red side, flight line on the main. It's
crazy.
It's been a very nice sale. Mentioned the schedule. We always mention when you're in here, selections every day via the website. And I didn't have the heart to look, because my last 2 weeks, I just feel like I've been kind of treading water. I've had a couple of good days. But I've been treading waters with the top pick, so I didn't want to look and see how far I'm behind Sherpazian. But Bedard
is actually he's put up a big number. He's at like 81, I think, for the meet. He's got 6 or 7. He's got 6 or 7 on John, and John's a defending. I got to look how many time a defending champion in the special. So it's going to be a fun 3 weeks here, and see who can, if Charles can hang on. John can get hot. I mean, he throws those 6, 7, 8 win days out there sometimes. So we'll see.
And when I talked to you about being on the show today, when I talked to you yesterday, you said you're going to be out running around for a stable tour this morning. Who can people look forward to?
I spent close to an hour with Phil Serpy today.
Oh, nice.
And we got to some of his horses. We also just told a lot of fun stories too. So we'll.
That works.
But it was kind of fun. I mean, he did talk about Leave No Trace and what she's doing, and they're trying to get her back before the end of the meet if he can find an allowance race for her. And it's got some nice horses, some 2-year-olds coming along, and it's always fun to go over there. He's a little bit of a racing historian too, so you get a lot of good stuff.
Phil's been around there. And the Little Guy Tour, is that traditionally at the end?
Yeah, we usually do it at the end. We didn't do it last year because we were short-staffed and just everything kind of unraveled at the end of the meet. We're going to try to bring it back. We might try to sneak it in before the end, just because of some timing things. And Bill Mott always likes to do, I guess, the last one. So for whatever reason, it's usually Sean and Bill Mott, and it's Sean will come back and tell you how many minutes he has on the recorder. It's sometimes going on to an hour and change, which is fun. So we'll try to sneak the little guys in here before. Hopefully, we can get it done before the end.
Yeah, the little guys is always a fun one, certainly. And list off some of the ones you've done already. And again, people can go to the website and pick up, the archive this season if you haven't seen all the specials, but some of the ones you've
there's information there. I hear from people all meet who say, "Oh, went back and read the stable tour when they see a horse entered." I've done Al Stahl, and obviously we've done Pletcher and Brad Cox. Tom Law did both of those, and Sean did Phil Bauer the other day. You do get some insight on horses. I don't necessarily know anybody's touting the horse. Cherie DeVoe, I did hers the other day, and it was kind of fun to get into that barn and go through some of the horses she has. They've upgraded a lot. I think trainers. I mean, they talk to us and they're honest about it, but they also. I don't think anybody's ever 100% sure about things. The Al Stahl did talk about a filly that won. And he was, he said, I wanted to bring her here because I wanted her to go a solid 2 turns, on the dirt. And she won going 1 mile and 3/16, I think, or maybe 1.25 miles on the dirt, and that's there is stuff like that helps, I think. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. And that's the stable tour, just one of the things you guys, you, Sean, have Collins in there, Tom Law doing great work, the interns. I mean, you're covering day in and day out and getting some insights that you're not going to find anywhere else. And again, you can pick it up here at the racetrack. You can pick it up around town. If you're not in the area or you're watching us from outside the area, this is horseracing.com, the location for it. Yep. So it's on there, and that's where all the picks are on days we don't publish. They do picks for every day, and they're up there on the website as well. Very good. Joe, appreciate the visit as always. Again, keep up the good work. A few more issues of the special before the season ends. One of the highlights of the Saratoga racing season. And Mormino made a plea for you as we ended the handicapping show. He said, "Get Tom's bike back." You still get Joe's bike back. I think it's long gone. Yeah, it wasn't that nice a bike, but it was a sentimental kind of member of the family, and I'm imagining I don't know where it is. I hope it's still. We can make a plea here on the air. Right, you said there's a 25-year-old-ish Trek with a weird suspension running around there somewhere, with kind of reddish color, but. We miss it, but it's okay. You're out there. Yeah, no questions asked. Sneak it back. Joe wants his bike back. Joe, appreciate the visit. And again, as I say, keep up the good work. Thanks for having us. All right, we'll take a break. He's in the house, Rick Schosberg. He retired, but he's working more than ever, I think. And we'll talk a little bit about that right after the break. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by our friend Rick Schosberg. And I said as we went to the commercial, yeah, he retired from training, but still working very hard here on the backstretch. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we proceed. Rick, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. It's great to be here.
Happy to have you here. Usual visit when we get up here. And as I say, in the past, we've been talking about your horses and some aftercare, but today we'll kind of concentrate. But before that, you and I were talking when you sat down. You're always on the bench, and for years had played. I was out there playing as well. The chaplaincy benefit jockey basketball game, and you and I were commenting. It was nice to see the horsemen win for once.
Yeah. We took our lumps the last couple of years. We were close at halftime yesterday, and then they opened up like Secretariat on us in the second half. And this year we did a little bit of extra recruiting, I have to say, and our coaching staff and me and Todd and Karen. We kept the pedal down, and it was close, but it was a great game, and we finally got one. So they're going to want to get us back next year.
As I say, as a Syracuse guy, I played on the horseman team, so I'm rooting for the horsemen. And I remember I tell this a lot. I scored my basket and I retired. But there was one year where I was playing, and one of the Ortiz brothers was crossing half court, and I thought, I'll go up and really I kind of knew where it was going to go.
Yeah.
I went up and got in his face, and he blew right by me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, and I have many balls stolen on me. I dropped a few shots in my time too. But last year I was rolling around on the floor, and my wife said, "Please, you have to be behind the bench this year." And so that was good. No, we had a really good bunch of young guns this year, and
but as I
really
say,
worked out well.
I'm rooting for the horsemen, but John Wallace, I'm a Syracuse guy, and John Wallace was playing with the jockeys the past couple of years, so my split allegiances. But I said to you, I watched Wallace play, and it's a fun charity game.
Yeah,
he
was serious this year. Last year, actually, I went up for a rebound against him last year, and I think I got up to his waist, and he looked at me. He saw how old I was. I think he kind of was going to give me a look, and then he went, okay, and I just ran away. But this year, we were playing him pretty tight, and he knew it.
He rejected a couple though that went out.
He rejected a few, but he was dropping threes and he was hitting foul shots this year. He came to play this year, and but it was a great game. It was close. It was a lot of fun, and it's always a great event.
Great work on the backstretch. And before we get to the aftercare on the horses, talk a little bit about, because again, you've been prominent with the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association for years, and part of their mission is to make sure everybody's taken care of well on the backstretch. And so just talk a little bit about that, because when I get folks like you in, I always like to remind people on the front side, we see the jockeys, the horses, the trainers. This 7 days a week, 365, depending on the backstretch people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're the backbone of the industry, no matter where we're racing. But and to have to pick up and move up to Saratoga and then head back to Belmont, and maybe some go to Florida for the winter. But our backstretch personnel here are second to none, and the people that look after all their needs, the best program, the chaplaincy, LifeWorks. It's just been a tremendous team effort, and NYTHA is a big part of it. And whenever there are questions or issues, we know how to get them to where they need to be so that those issues can be handled. We have a brand new health clinic over across the street, and we got Faith House.
Child Care Association opened up a couple years ago.
Absolutely, and the Faith House over here too, and the rec hall and the chaplaincy. We got so many programs from education to healthcare to just basic life needs, and it's a great team, and we have the best backstretch personnel on earth. They really are phenomenal.
I wanted to give a chance to recognize them first, and then we'll move on to, again, you retired from the training side of things, but now you're still working quite diligently with the Take the Lead program, the Take Two program, retirement and second careers and whatnot. So just, fill us in on what you're doing now as far as these retirement and second career programs.
Okay, well, we're in our 10th. This is our 10th anniversary for the Take the Lead program. We've retired over 1,000 horses.
Wow.
And tomorrow is New York Aftercare Day, and we are prominently displaying our partners in aftercare in the region. And we have displays. We're going to do some demonstrations tomorrow, really cool, interesting demonstrations. Right before the first race, we're going to do a hunter jumper demonstration with some of our candidates that went through the program. They'll be from New Vocations locally in Gansevoort. And between the first and second race tomorrow, we have a dressage demonstration from Rerun. And also we're going to have a young child who's actually a champion rider, an 8-year-old champion rider with a horse that went through our program as well out on the racetrack. But every race tomorrow, except for I think the stake, is named after one of the organizations that we partner with, all the way from, starting it from the very beginning, the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. We also have the Horse Sense stall, which is behind the grandstand. We're going to have 2 horses shuttling back and forth in that sense stall for autographs and pictures and things like that. The TRF is going to have their horse in there from the early part of the day. And then Lucky Orphans, who is a really cool sanctuary down near Millbrook, with a very unique perspective on their program. It's horses helping people helping horses, and it's really a neat organization. Deanna Mancuso runs it, and they're going to have a horse in the Horse Sense stall tomorrow.
Where is that?
The Horse Sense stall. It's right behind the grandstand. We actually have a stall back there.
Okay.
We've had it. This will be the 3rd year that we've used it.
Okay.
And if you just walk behind the grandstand towards the quarter pole, you're going to see the Horse Sense stall, and we'll have people there and information on the horse. You can take pictures and things like that. Cool. I don't know if they'll be able to do autographs, but you'll get a kiss on the nose.
I know they've done some with their tail. They've done some artwork for the
Monets.
Yeah,
yes, matter of fact, the Monet. Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great way to do charity work. Yeah. Also, Lisa Malloy from Rerun, they're going to be doing our demonstrations, but she does the Monets. It's very interesting. I actually. They gave me a Monet from Cadianis, who had done a Monet back when he was standing stud up here. But it's a really cool thing. We've got thoroughbred therapeutic horses from Saratoga, a new organization up here working with military veterans, etc. Our friends from old friends up in Cabin Creek, Act Naturally. Valerie Buck was a really unique organization.
Had her on earlier this week.
Yes, and it's just another unique organization that does therapy with horses to help people get through emotional distress or PTSD. And then, of course, our friends from Aikendale down in Pauling, John Hettinger's place, that he was ahead of the game when it came to aftercare. I was there. I actually did a TAA inspection down there a couple of days ago. Their horses look phenomenal. It's a great retraining and rehoming organization down there, part of our TAA accredited family.
Yeah, I had Val on earlier. I should get Joe and Pepper from old friends. I haven't had her on in a couple of years yet. And I haven't seen Michael Blown yet. I usually run into 3 or 4 times during the week.
with Michael last night.
Okay.
We were at the David Cassidy Foundation for aftercare last night, and all the organizations, and Michael got up and spoke, and we spoke, and we had a lot of the organizations that I just listed had representatives there as well. But yeah, Michael's wonderful. Old Friends is just unique. It's just an incredible museum of some of the best horses. As a matter of fact, they gave me my big horse, Firm Success, passed away earlier on this year, and they gave me a portrait of him last night, and I was just so emotional. I was almost speechless.
Very good. So that's tomorrow, aftercare day. Come on up to the track, and I'm imagining there'll be places folks can donate to the organization. As well.
Yeah, we'll have the community booth in behind the jocks room with tables of information and representatives from each group, including Racing for Home, Acacia Clement's organization. I think her parents are coming up with some information for them. All these organizations will be represented there with a way to donate, either right there or online.
Very good. And again, I mentioned the Take the Lead and the Take Two. Those are NYTHA programs, and folks can find out more information by going over to the NYTHA website. And I think we actually have the NYTHA website probably there.
Right
so
there.
You can stop there and you'll find out more about those programs, certainly. And again, and I wanted you mentioned each of the races during the day named after one of the organizations, but we would be remiss not to mention the feature of the day, Rick Violet, who was certainly prominent in the whole aftercare movement.
Absolutely. Rick, and to have aftercare day on the day of his stake is just so appropriate. And listen, he was my mentor, and he and Andy Belfiore, our executive director, they were the architects of the Take the Lead and the Take Two program, and he was also one of the founding members of the TAA. He was really intrinsic in getting the TAA up and running as one of the original directors. And I've said it before, I wish I had 1/10 the drive and foresight that Rick had. He mentored me in so many different things. I was his vice president at NITHA for a while, and I came on the board in 2011, and he kind of handed this blueprint of aftercare off to me and to Andy, and said, "You run with this. I got to worry about workman's compensation, etc." And it's really, just his passion and his knowledge of horses, and knowing that literally 70% of their life is after the racetrack. And that's a daunting responsibility for this industry. And I also want to say, this industry has a shared responsibility across the board to make sure that these horses have a pension plan. And that's what the TAA is there for. And we need to come up with ways for mandatory, sustained revenue to the TAA, so we can make sure that these horses get taken care of. We have a wonderful program here in New York, very lucrative. Our legislators have been so happy to see that the cooperation amongst the NITHA and NYRA and the breeders, the Breeding Development Fund, the Farm Bureau, we're all in lockstep with regards to aftercare here in the state of New York, and we do a really wonderful job to funding it. And other jurisdictions do a great job, but sustained revenue, mandatory from the industry, is what's really needed.
Yeah, well said, certainly. Rick, I alluded to it. I didn't allude. I stated when you came up, you retired, but still working very hard. Just fill us in, because when I contacted you, said today, you said tomorrow you'd be out checking some horses. So fill us in what the day-to-day is like for you now.
Well, I'm on, besides the retirement, I'm on the board of the TAA as well, and the accreditation committee, and we meet at least once a week and sometimes more. I'm doing inspections for the TAA. I was also appointed onto the Heisery Advisory Committee, which obviously has been a very, very busy time for all of us.
Trying Lisa Lazarus on earlier.
Yes. And Lisa's been great with us, and asking the advice of our committee so it can be brought up to the board, and it's done in a very professional way. And they really want to try and get this giant square peg to fit in this really small round hole, and we're doing everything we can to make it fair, and so that the horsemen are treated properly, and the horses, of course, the health and welfare of the horses are paramount. So I've been very busy with that, and went down to Ocala and bought some 2-year-olds for the Clear Stars guys this year. And I don't know if they're still running because they're off the turf in the first race. But we had a couple of horses entered today. So yeah, it's been very busy. No, it hasn't been. It's been exhausting. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'd recommend retirement to everybody. It's pretty exhausting, but it's great. There's so many things going on, and I'm pleased to be able to offer some help. And and plus, what we also wanted to talk about is Saturday is the Lustgarten Foundation for Pancreatic Cancer on Saturday, and
remembering Dominic Coluccio.
Absolutely. And I was just telling you before, I was at Aikendale yesterday doing an inspection, and his brother Ray is their head blacksmith, one of the best blacksmiths in the region. He really is a terrific man, is Dominic's brother Ray. And just a great cause, and they're making so much headway with pancreatic cancer, where pancreatic cancer back, not even a decade ago, they really were just in the beginning phases trying to figure out how to stem the effects of this disease, and they've really come a long way. And the Lustgarten Foundation is at the head of the class on that.
Yeah, Dominic Coluccio obviously passed away from it, the trainer, and so the day kind of honors him and his memory with the money going to the Lustgarten Foundation. Mike Jarbo, who I sat right next to or close to up in the press box for years, from the Times Union, passed away from it. My brother passed away from it, so it's dear to me. And so that comes up on Saturday. There'll be a trainer autograph session behind the jocks from 11:30 to 12:30.
And retired trainers.
And
retired trainers. Yeah.
That works too. And speaking of that, as you are a retired trainer, normally we would get you in here and might talk about some of the horses you had running or had won earlier in the meet. But as a retired trainer, I wanted to bring it up. And you mentioned them earlier. I pulled up the replay going back to 2002. The Grade 1 Carter. We're going to look at a firm success here. Pulled up the Equibase stats, over $2 million, 42 starts, 17 wins. Just remember a little bit of a firm success.
Yeah, this is such a great. He's 8 years old, winning the Carter. He had just won the Toboggan, and this is with him and Richie Migliori and me, and we're all a little long in the tooth at this point in our careers, but it was just so satisfying to see him do this in a Grade 1 after coming, winning
an 8-year-old. It's crazy.
Yeah, 8-year-old, and as a 9-year-old, he came back and won the Toboggan, and he ended up 4th or 5th in the Carter, and that was the last race of his career. But he ran 42 times and ran 38 triple-digit buyer figures.
Oh, wow.
38. Only 4 weren't, and one was in the Breeders' Cup where he just didn't run well. I don't remember where the other 2 were, but 38 triple-digit buyer figures. Yeah, it'll never be equal. 42 starts is hardly ever a thing anymore. But to run, to be that fast, and he was so sound. But what was great about him is not just about him, about the team, is that Mr. Freed knew that he was going. No matter what, we were going to give him 3 or 4 months off a year. Start again. Our goal was always the Breeders' Cup, whether it was on the turf or in the sprint, and work our way backwards and get him ready March, April, May for November, and then call it and do it again. So it was great management and on Mr. Freed's part, and just a great sound, super fast, cool horse.
Homebred.
And could run on any surface.
And I tried to pull up. I tried to look. I couldn't find the replay because I wanted to toss in a Saratoga win, but he won the Forgo up here in 1998.
He did win. Yes, he did win the Forgo, and then the following year he dropped the nose to Mr. Kimmel, and I've never forgiven him for that. But that's okay. No, John and I are good friends. Not on the tennis court, though. No, he always beats me.
Have you tried pickleball? Somebody keeps telling me
pickleball
is...
I'll be honest with you. I did try it a little while ago, but I wrecked my shoulder about 3 months ago, so I'm in the middle of rehabilitation. Okay. So it might end up just being pickleball. I want to get back on the tennis court, and my wife was pretty mad at me when I wrecked my shoulder, but I was so concussed I didn't know what she was saying to me. I play that same card now.
Rick, really appreciate the visit. And again, you're retired, as you say. Retirement is tough work, but it means we get to see you a lot, and that's always good. Always fun to see you. And being up here at Saratoga, plenty, a lot of fun. I knew we had to have you in here, particularly to talk about tomorrow Aftercare Day. So keep that in mind. But appreciate the visit.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll wrap it up for this Wednesday morning, live from Saratoga. It's Racing Across America. Plenty of great racing this afternoon. Don't forget the promotions coming up down at the Clubhouse Racebook. Today, it is the Knockout Challenge at the Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Otherwise, great racing this afternoon. The weather seems to be clearing up. I think it's going to be a nice day today. So play, make some money, and we'll be back here on the network for the morning programming tomorrow, 9 a.m. for the Handicapper Support, 10 a.m. for Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions, and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at capitalotv.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.